Hey yo, it's Arlo, long time no see. It was a Wednesday evening when my friend texted me and asked me if I wanted to go see Reminders of Him in the movies. And of course, I'm like, yeah, sure. And I got in the car and she was like, okay, so, Colleen Hoover? I was like, yeah, I like books. I read books. I'd never read a book by Colleen Hoover, but I've obviously heard a lot about Colleen Hoover. So she was like, oh, it's by her. She read the book before and she wanted to see how the movie is. But I guess she hadn't read it in like a while. I guess it was a while. Now I'm open to it because I don't know. I've heard a lot about Colleen Hoover, but also sometimes drama is fun. And sometimes watching things that aren't good is also fun. But I have to say, Reminders of Him was not that bad. Like, I can say that I enjoyed watching it. Not because it was some groundbreaking film or whatever, but it was entertaining. if a movie only had to be entertaining, that's exactly what it was. It had me engaged. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that I did not have things that I did not like about it, because it did also make me uncomfortable. It definitely made me uncomfortable. But I want to talk about it. I just want to preface it by saying, like, it wasn't that bad. If you're like, oh, I'm not going to watch it because it's made by Colleen Hoover, sure, your preference. Don't watch it because it was produced by her, and I think co-written by her, and also based off of one of her books. But, like, if anybody asked me, oh, should I go watch that movie? I would say, I guess, what I thought about it, that it was entertaining, that I liked it, wasn't the best movie ever, but I don't regret going to the movies and watching it. Like, I didn't think it was a waste of, what, $16? Anyway, I definitely do want to talk about it though. I was going in blind, didn't really know anything about it. I watched Send Help. I went in blind on that movie, did not know what it was going to be about, but I saw comedy and horror and I was like, okay, because I'm bad at horror. Like, any jump scares, I don't want it. But usually if it's a comedy slash horror, I'm like, I think I can do it, because suspense, I'm an anxious person. I don't need to go out and seek suspense. I'm not gonna lie, but it was fun. It was a fun watch. Anyway, we'll talk about a different movie. Reminders of Him started out with, oh my gosh, what's her name? I think her name is Kenna. Kenna is out of prison. She's writing letters to Scotty, and through her narration, we learn more about, I guess, what's going on and everything. And she takes a taxi. First of all, they live in a small town. Small town. I'm not gonna lie, I'm scared of small towns. She sees this memoriam. You know how when people die in car crashes, they have like flowers out on the side? So she sees that and she tells the taxi, hey, pull over. She takes it, the cross with Scotty's name on it, which is, we will learn, her ex. But I feel like when you go into it, you kind of assume like, okay, maybe she's talking about an ex. Or at least me, I was like, okay, this is her ex. And I was thinking, how rude. She was like, oh, he hated memorials. Sure, he hates memorials, but honestly, it's not for him, his family and stuff like that. And I think the logistics of what to do when someone dies is like it's very sensitive, because there are things that people do when people die that they are strongly against. Like, if you're trans and your people are dressing you up in a way that you don't like when you die, that is actually a fear. So yeah, but I'm like dang, like, I don't know, it just seemed very like a selfish thing to do, which my friend actually said, like, yeah, that was kind of a selfish thing to do. So she kicks it and she goes to this not an inn, but this apartment, I guess, that they've talked about before, which is suggested in her narration in the letters that she writes to him or whatever. I guess they always wondered how it looked like on the inside. So, she has no money. She just came out of prison. She's trying to find a job and no one wants to hire her. She goes to a bunch of different places and they're basically like, yeah, we don't hire previously incarcerated people. My question is, they don't ask what they've done, but I mean, she went to prison, so it's different, I guess, if you go to jail versus if you went to prison, because that's a felony. She goes to a bunch of different jobs, try to find a place that'll hire her. I think before she finds a job, she ends up finding a place to stay, which is great. For a lot of people, it takes a while to be able to find a place to stay and find a job, but she ends up finding both, I feel like, fairly quickly. I honestly don't know the timeline for the movie, but it seemed like everything happened in like 2 weeks. I mean, the whole movie seemed like happened in 2 weeks, which it probably didn't. Like, I guess we'll see why it felt so weird, thinking that everything like happened in such a short amount of time, and what happened. And because of the short amount of time that it feels like the narrative took place, that's what made everything feel weird. But I'm not saying that her finding a place to stay and a job felt weird. I'm saying, like, oh, that's great. Like, I actually love that for her, because in reality, when you have nobody and you just come out of prison, it is usually not that easy, like, at all. So good for her. She finds her a nice, what was it, even a one bedroom? I don't even think it was one bedroom. I think it was just like a studio. So she finds a beat up studio with a nice community, actually. Like they're actually all nice. And then she ends up finding a job. My thing is she asked the manager, and the manager was like no, and then she went to the bathroom to, I don't know, fix herself up. I literally don't remember. And this woman says she's a manager of something in specific, I think of checking out and bagging. She's like, I'll talk to him. The thing I was wondering was like, you're not gonna ask her what she went to prison for? I mean, I guess it don't matter, but I feel like anybody, if somebody told me they went to prison, I feel like I would ask, oh, what for? Especially if you're working at a place. But they didn't ask any questions, so I'm like, okay, good for her. And actually, no one asked any questions. I don't know if the people in her housing knew that, like in her apartment complex or whatever, but I guess it didn't matter. For the job specifically, I feel like you wouldn't ask. I feel like you'd want to ask, like, exactly what happened at least. Anyway, what happened after that? She went to go to this bookstore that her and her ex used to go to. She finds out that it's not a bookstore, but it is a bar. The bartender and her see each other, and they got the eyes, especially him. He looking at her, and she looking at him, and they kind of flirting. And he makes her a coffee, even though this is a bar, not a cafe or whatever. But it was really sweet. It was really cute. Except that, I don't know, I feel like I'm all over the place. But you see, it's really nice. It's really cute. And this man, this bartender, is the best friend of her ex who died. And she is straight up flirting with him. Wow. Like, for real? And he doesn't know that it's her. So he flirting. Before she even leave, he asked for her number. After that, she wants to go see her daughter. So she goes to her ex's parents' house. And the best friend, his name is Ledger, sees her because he lives right across the street. He's like, hey, how did you know I lived over here? You could say bold accusation. But when he was trying to get her number before she left the bar, she was like, I don't have a phone. And he was like, who doesn't have a phone? And he was, laughing and everything. He fumbled because she was like, I don't. She didn't say that, but like. So he was thinking, oh, she pulled up on me. She must want me. No. But he ends up putting two and two together. He doesn't know how this woman looks. She shows up at the grandparents' place. He's like, oh, I think her name was DM. I thought that was a nice name, actually. Oh, you're DM's mom. You're Scotty's ex. You're the woman that we all think killed the man. I didn't really understand what legal ramifications were going on or what legal happenings were happening because they didn't really go into all of that. But we're assuming that she isn't supposed to be able to see the daughter legally, like she's not allowed any sort of visitation. But they don't say any of that explicitly. But we do know that after she went to go try to see the daughter, that the grandma, filed a restraining order. Which I was kind of like, how? Because do y'all have cameras to know that she was actually like there or whatever, like any evidence or whatever? But I'm guessing that the legal stuff does not matter in here. The really heartfelt moments in this movie was pretty much when she was trying to see her daughter and they weren't letting her. That through line actually made me think, okay, this movie actually has some substance. Like without the background of her trying to see her daughter and these heartfelt moments that you can see, not only her having her child and her child being taken away from her and her not being able to spend any time with her child whatsoever, except for the moments that she had when she was pregnant in prison. Hard time finding a job. I don't know, that was the thing that actually kept me tied to the movie. The stuff that kind of had some substance. Even if some things kind of like I was wondering about some things, especially the legal side. Even though that was kind of wobbly, I was like, okay, this is kind of real, The whole tension really of the movie was her and Ledger's relationship, and that is the part that made me uncomfortable. It was this whole, I guess, forbidden thing. Well, it is definitely a whole forbidden thing. Like I said, the grandparents don't want Kenna, the main character, to see her child DM because they feel like she grossly neglected Scotty, her ex, who died, and that his death was pretty much her fault. And they real for that. They kind of real for that. I'm not gonna lie. So the whole thing was that, like, I feel like I'm all over the place, but I'm so sorry. The whole thing was that basically it was Scotty's birthday, and first of all, because I feel like I'm missing this, Ledger and Kenna never met, which I find so hard to believe. Like, how y'all never met? Scotty is your best friend. You never met Kenna. And we see in a FaceTime, he's like, oh, I want you to meet her because I'm thinking about marrying her. I think it was on his birthday he was thinking about this. So Ledger he's in the NFL. He's working. Okay, so Sure, but you can FaceTime Scotty. You can't both FaceTime Kenna. Oh yeah, this is my girlfriend or whatever. I felt like it was so unreasonable that I could not suspend my belief to be like, oh yeah, he never met her. You're just saying that just so it'll feel better when they decide that they want to canoodle. That's the only reason that even was a thing. Because there is no way he never met her. There's no way that the only picture he ever saw of her was her mugshot. That's what I think. And it seemed like Kenna and Scotty got together pretty quickly. He wanted to marry her pretty quickly. But we have no timeline on that either, which is why everything seems so quick. Even if they were together for a short amount of time, I'm still like, well, how he never saw Kenna? So Kenna and Scotty was like at this lake, their spot for his birthday. After they skinny dipped in the lake, I think honestly it looked like she was the only one who skinny dipped. But anyway, after they skinny dipped in the lake, they went to the diner. I'm assuming that they went to the diner before all of the extra stuff happened. That's the thing, it's so ambiguous. Like some of the things I'm just like kind of confused about. So they're coming from the diner and they're in the car driving, and it looks like she hits a pothole. She hits the pothole and the whole car flips over. She gets out and she sees Scotty's arm and she's like, oh no, he's dead. And she goes to try to call for help, and she's trying to like wave people in their cars down, but no one stops, no one helps her. And we see the police come in and she sleep in her apartment. And she sleep in her apartment, they wake her up, and then we see the cops interrogating her. You know, she has no lawyer. But anyway, she pled guilty and she goes to prison. And this part confused me. This part confused the heck out of me, because she was like, I thought he was dead. Girl, yeah, you thought he was dead, but you ain't think. Okay, this is the first thing. But you didn't think, let's please hope he's not dead. A slither of life. Let's hope. Let's try to find the ambulance, the police, whatever, and try to get him saved. Just a slither of hope. He can't be dead. He can't be. No, just he's dead. That's it. Okay. People work differently, you know. I feel like I would think myself would be like, bro, let's hope he's not dead. Like, he can't be. Okay, so you think that, and you try to call for help, and then you're on the floor or in your bed or something like that, and the police waking you up in the morning. What happened in between? So you got into town and you didn't tell anybody. You didn't tell his parents. You didn't call the ambulance. You didn't call the police. You thought he was dead. Okay, well, even if he was dead, somebody has to do something with his body. Like, you just left him there? Like, that's it? You left him there? Like, they were going to have to find his body? You decided not the same thing? Like, sure, you're in shock or whatever, but like, that is so confusing to me. And even if that all was the case, oh, you know, she thought he was dead, she didn't know what to do, she just da-da-da-da, whatever, you gonna say you're guilty? Oh my god. It just seemed so dumb. She didn't even fight for the chance to hope Scotty is alive. And she didn't even fight for her not going to prison. Like, girl, you're going to prison. She was like, oh, if I knew I was pregnant, I would have never pled guilty. Girl, that is I don't know. I don't understand. But we're just going to accept that these were things that happened. I don't understand. But we're going to accept that these are things that happen. So, yeah, for all of them to feel like, oh, yeah, she killed Scotty, or she didn't care about him at all to the point where she let him die. This is how the family feels. So Ledger flirting with Kenna is a betrayal. And also, Scotty was his best friend. You know, they've been talking or whatever, and he even let her work at the bar so she can get some extra money, but in the back, obviously, because they don't want nobody to know that they talking. And I just want to say this also. They live in a small town. You're telling me people see Kenna walk up in here and ain't nobody telling the grandparents? You telling me at the apartment that Kenna lives at, Ledger comes and kiss her in front of everybody and the grandparents ain't finding out at all? You're telling me nobody, well, also, yeah, you're telling me nobody knows that that's the woman who went to prison because she killed Scotty? Come on now. Look, in a small town, that's on the news. First of all, it's also a big thing. Like, he died. Like, you know, that's a crazy thing. That's the talk of the town. She comes back, everybody knows. Like, everybody knows. But okay, whatever. Everybody don't know. It's a movie. Okay. Anyway, and the whole Kenna and Ledger getting together, is flirting and stuff like that. They end up canoodling, touching each other, doing the do. And of course, we know that the movie is being narrated by the letters that Kenna is writing Scotty, like, in real time. So after her and Ledger do it, she writes a letter to Scotty, and she reads this letter to Ledger because he really wants to know what it says. Oh my god, and it was so uncomfortable. She was like, Scotty, I had sex with your best friend. It was just so weird. I wish I can just like read it out to you right now.
Don't think you're gonna like it.
Try me.
Dear Scotty, I had sex with your best friend tonight. Not sure it's something you want to hear. Maybe it is.
But I was like, well, he doesn't really need to know.
I get the feeling if you can hear these letters wherever you are, you'd want me to be happy. And right now, Ledger is making me happy. If it's any consolation, the sex was great. But no one can hold a candle to you.
You're just saying that so you don't hurt his feelings. Right?
Whatever you need to hear.
The way that she wrote it in the letter was just so blunt. I was like, what? Like, are you serious? At the end of the letter, she basically says, I know you wanted me to be happy, and Ledger makes me happy, and obviously no one can hold a candle to you. And then Ledger was like, really? Because, you know, he'd want to be the best that she's ever done it with. And I was like, what is going on? What is going on? This is so disrespectful. He's dead. I mean, sure, compare the two. Sure, Kenna, compare the two. Whatever. But out loud. And then Ledger, sure, want to be the best. But like, out loud, yeah, it's been 8 years since he died, which I feel like does 7 or 8, which I feel like does give you some wiggle room, but it's just weird. It's just odd and uncomfortable. And I'm not gonna lie, every time Kenna and Ledger did something, it just felt really odd and uncomfortable. Because sure, if I died, I would probably want my person to end up like living a happy life, being with who they want. You know, I feel like in this world you can love many people. I feel like that if you end up breaking up with somebody, there can be someone else out there, and probably many other people out there that you could possibly fall in love with and spend the rest of your life, whether or not you meet them and whether or not that happens. Okay, whatever. But my best friend? My best friend? No, I would not be happy. I would not be happy. I would not be happy. Anyway, so whatever, this happens. Every time that they were doing something together, it really did make me uncomfortable because I can just imagine the guilt. That was your best friend. And sure, y'all can bond over the relationships that y'all separately had with this person. I think that is generally helpful for the grieving process for everybody if you know you all come together and share your experiences that you had with this one person who has now passed. But it's like, oh my gosh, what the freak? And I feel like it's different for Ledger and it's different for Kenna, okay? But also Ledger is, at the beginning, I was, you know, Ledger didn't know at the beginning. So I'm like, okay. But then when you do find out, I'm also kind of like, it's weird. It feels like y'all are like, I know he's dead. But also, it does make me uncomfortable, I have to say. So Ledger has lived his life after Scotty had died. For him, I feel like it could probably really feel like a long time has passed. He's used to the town. He's used to what he does for work. He's used to Scotty not being there when he's over at the grandparents' house. He's used to Scotty not being there when he's playing with DM. He's used to all of these things. He lives in this town. And then for Kenna, it's like, yeah, it's been 8 years, but she's also been in prison for 8 years and she's seen nothing. So I feel like once she leaves, she's so adamant on seeing her daughter, which is absolutely warranted. I feel like there would be such an overwhelming presence of Scotty, which is kind of, I think, trying to be present in the movie, but it's just not really. Like, yes, she's writing these letters to Scotty. Yes, she is going to this bar because she thinks it's the bookstore that they were at. So you think like there would be this overwhelming presence of Scotty because this is the first time she's been to the town without him. And it's the first time she's going to see these places and everything changed. And you would think that, like, I don't know, I feel like it's one thing to live a life without being exposed to all of the things that remind her of him, and it's another thing to just get out of prison and see everything that reminds her of him. And I would think that there would be such an overwhelming presence of Scotty and her trying to process all of this because she hadn't got the chance to. Not really, I guess, if it's, you know, if everything is triggering all these emotions and all these memories of him. But she immediately flirts with Ledger. Okay, so I think for her it would be definitely different, and I feel like there would definitely be more guilt, but that's not present. And sure, the main thing that's stopping her and Ledger from being together is the fact that the parents would not accept it. The grandparents wouldn't accept it. So anyway, obviously at the end, Ledger and Kenna gets together, and it seems so jarring because it seems like this movie has happened in only a span of 2 weeks. That part was honestly the most jarring. Like everything else was honestly pretty heartfelt. Like Kenna wanting her child, her meeting Diem. Oh my gosh. I was like, wow, I'd cry. Kenna was just, watching her and playing with her and pushing her on the swings. And when they were having dinner, I think it was dinner, when Diem like sat in her arms. If I was Kenna, I would be crying. That's like the whole time. I don't think I'd be able to get myself together. I was like, oh. I think that was the part that actually made it good because it wasn't this like great movie. Yeah. Ultimately, I liked it. Wouldn't say it was the best movie in the world. And I'd have to say the main thing I felt throughout the movie was to Ledger and Kenna, why are y'all talking? There are so many other people in this world that y'all could get together with, and y'all decided to get together with each other? Really? And it seemed, first of all, like the main thing is that it seemed so quickly. And when Kenna wanted to see her child, her and Ledger held hands and went inside the house. And I was like, really? This seems like it happened so quickly. Also, one of the things I have to say is that, of course, in the climax of the movie, the family finds out that Ledger and Kenna is doing something together. The dad, granddad, whatever, walks in his $1 million home. I don't know how many millions of dollars, but big, huge home. And they're on the floor because they had got together, which is like one of the worst ways to find out that they're doing something. And Ledger goes over to the house or whatever, and the dad punches him. Mind you, he never says sorry for that. You punched him, and I think he did it twice, but I could be wrong. And you never said sorry for that? He was bleeding. I don't know. I just wanted a sorry. Okay, you said all this other stuff and it was sweet, but you punched him and you didn't even say sorry. I didn't tell everything that happened. It's just that even though I thought like some of the moments were real and actually heartfelt, the main thing I felt through the movie was unsettling. But I'm pretty sure that that's Colleen Hoover's whole shtick of making you feel uncomfortable. It was still an interesting movie. I wouldn't go out of my way to like watch it again, but after I watched it, I was satisfied. It made me feel things. I didn't hate it. Even though I really did not like certain parts. So overall, Reminders of Him was not that bad, even though it made me uncomfortable. Thank you for watching. I definitely don't be on here very often. I try to do better at that, but things happen. Please subscribe, like, comment if you do so, please. And have a good one. Bye.